Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. This is extreme, man. You can't camera. Or it will take directly from speaker, directly from mic. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Krishna. So you are doing good. After breakfast, our Haribol must be much strong and louder. Just do a short version.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Jai Shri Krishna Shri Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishnaya Vasudevaya, Devaki Nandaya, Nandalokaya, Govindaya Namo Namo. Namo Pankaja Namaya, Namo Pankaja Namani, Namo Pankaja Nikaya, Namaste Pankajam Hare. Nagpade Subhadramai Sudashina. Hare Krishna. So welcome to this Sunday morning feast program. So today we've been given this topic to hear about SAKHYAM, the eighth stage, right, in the 9 devotional processes. Okay. So we'll just repeat this slogan because repeated for every topic of this. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 5, text 23. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Swaranam Padasevanam Archanam Dasyam Sakhyam Namadevanam Iti Pumsha Vishnu Bhaktischandre Rakshana Yuyate Bhagavati Brahmandi Vishnu. So, purport
Srila Prabhupada. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada. So we'll read the translation, not the purport. Prahlad Maharaj said, hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia and pastimes of Lord Vishnu, remembering them, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship with 16 types of paraphernalia, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming his servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, and surrendering everything onto him. In other words, serving him with the body, mind, and words. These 9 processes are accepted as pure devotional services. One who has dedicated his life to service of Krishna through these 9 methods should be understood to be the most of the learned persons, for he has acquired complete knowledge on the transcendental plane. Okay. So today we're going to focus out of those 9 processes of devotional life. We'll focus on SAKHYAM. So what does SAKHYAM means? SAKHYAM means friendship. So we will discuss SAKHYAM from 2 planes. How we perceive SAKHYAM from this plane of material, and we'll also discuss SAKHYAM from a transcendental plane. The transcendental plane, it's called fraternity. Fraternity, love for Krishna in the mood of fraternity. So that's what we will discuss on the transcendental plane. So what we will do is we'll just go over to understand some simple terminologies about what do we understand with the word friendship, and how do we generally deal in our lives with varieties of friendship. Right? So we'll just understand, we'll just go through a quick scan. After that, what we will do is we'll also take some examples to deep dive into it. Then we will see the limitations of friendship on this material plane. How it is important, but still it has limitations. So to substantiate this, what shall we do is we will take some stories from Bhagavatam. You know, how friendship was demonstrated in the positive manner. So for example, Krishna and Arjuna friendship demonstration. We'll also see friendship demonstrated by failure stories, like Karna and Duryodhana, like Dronacharya and Andrupada. So we'll look at these contrasting examples and then see where was the limitation, where was the issues. So that way we'll understand friendship, SAKHYAM, as explained in the scriptures. Then what we'll do is we'll also see, I've done some quotes. I've taken some quotes about what Prabhupada told about friendship from various letters of his. Prabhupada's written a lot of letters about friendship. And we'll also see friendship, some from famous quotes from Chaitanya Charitamrita or maybe from Srimad Bhagavatam. We'll see some quotes. So then we'll understand what our Acharya is trying to tell us. So we will try to go in that mood. And finally, what we'll do, we'll come to the real fraternity. Fraternity love in devotion. We'll see that, about how Krishna dealt with his friends in Vrindavan. So the first portion we'll discuss about fraternity outside of the jurisdiction of Vrindavan and how that transforms into the jurisdiction of Vrindavan. So we'll see the difference. Then we'll be really amazed. Hey, what am I doing here? Where is my chanting beads? Where is my ticket back home? So that we can experience the real love, friendship, love through friendship process. So that way we will try to learn something today. It's already 9. Till what time, Prabhuji, we have time? 10, no? Some of the last 7-10 days has been very busy. So we've been having sleepless nights. Okay, so let's see what this really friendship means. I've got some beautiful quotes. We will see what this quote says. It says, friendship or bonds between two or more people, right? So it produces some sort of a relationship. A bonding means something that connects, right? It connects two personalities or two or more personalities. For what? Why does it connect? That's the question, right? So it connects on the plane of their thought process. They could have an aligned thought process. They could share their feelings. Sometimes it could be also ecstatic. So we can see that friendship is an exchange between two people based on certain requirement as an agenda. Okay? And this relationship which begins, it doesn't begin just like that. It may just begin as a hi-bye, but it starts with what is called as building of something like trust. The trust takes it to deeper and deeper to the next plane. And it's also mutual in nature. What's mutual in nature? Mutual means friendship is not always like one-way traffic. Like Rupa Goswami said, there are 6 loving exchanges. When we heard that first, oh, is it? To accept gifts from others is friendship. Oh, then we were very enthusiastic. Then they said, no, there's one more. To also give. Then everything became normal. So it is mutual in nature. So that's the thing that we have to understand. Now, what does Krishna say in the Gita? Krishna says, Bhuktaram yagna tapasham sharva loka maheshwaram suhurdam sharva bhutanam nyatva mam shantim richati. He says this. Now, what does he say? He says, Krishna is saying that I am actually the well-wisher, the real friend of all the Sarva Bhutanam, of all the living entities. It is just that we don't have the correct idea about what is it the Lord is offering as friendship for us, that we don't opt for it. What do? We use our mental plane to concoct our thoughts. Okay, this is a good friend. I want companionship. I want this friendship, that friendship. And then we spend more time on friendship conceived by the thought process of the mind, rather than what Krishna is offering. I'm offering you a friendship free of cost. And what sort of friendship is offering? He's saying this friendship is eternal, life after life. And he says, like what we discussed in our Mangalacharna prayers, what do we discuss? Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jahatpate. So he says, the friendship with me is so wonderful that it is going to be eternal. Not just eternal, but I will stand by you under all circumstances. That's what you will learn in the entire epic of Mahabharata. How Krishna stood by the Pandavas. Such deep friendships he had. Okay, so let's look at what generally in the material plane they discuss about friendship. So they're calling it as 4 types of friendship that are possible. One is called acquaintance. Acquaintance means just to get to know each other, right? That's called acquaintance. The second level of friendship, which is called general friendship. Okay, he's a friend of mine. I would like to hang out with him, go with him, and things like that, right? So that's called general friendship. It is slightly on a higher depth compared to the acquaintance mode. The third description of what friendship is talked about in the middle plane is called as someone who's like a close friend. He's not a general friend, but a close friend. So who's a close friend? Close friend, you see, there is some amount of trust. Yes, I can trust him. Yes, I would like to go out with him. I want to share my thoughts with him, invite him for home for dinner, something like that, right? It's called a close friend. You see, there is more closeness between 2 or more personalities. Higher than that is, what it could be higher than that? Intimate friends. Intimate. So the word intimacy itself tells us a very strong message that what sort of friendship this could be, right? One would give their life for the other. That's the intimate friendship. In fact, there's a very brilliant pastime. If you read through Prabhupada's life biography, Prabhupada's life history, Prabhupada says about his attitude, his thought process about his devotees, his disciples. Prabhupada says he is ready to give his life for his disciples. Right? You see, Prabhupada had intimate relationship with his disciples. Though they were disciples, the attachment and the kind of exchanges of heart to heart was also on the basis of friendship too. Hence, Prabhupada won the hearts of all of them. Okay, so this is broadly categorized under how we begin our friendship. I was just reading through an article. It just says how friendship began for someone. They both said, "Hey, let's go watch an IPL match." Now it's IPL series, right? Let's go watch an IPL match. And then the best part was when they were watching this IPL match, both these two people, they were supporting the same team to win. So when that team was winning, both were like patting each other, hugging each other, doing all these things. They said, okay, what a great time we had. So yeah, we are good friends. Now just imagine one situation that this team was not winning. They would have never become friends. So sometimes, we go closer with someone where we may share a dinner with someone on a table, and then we can talk very closer and deeper topics. Then you'll see that the second example of friendship is much higher, much deeper than the first example of friendship, because there's a heart-to-heart connection that is something happening, but still both of them are on the material plane. What is the problem of friendships in the material plane? What it needs is one spark of an incident to cause differences in their thought process. What happens to a friendship? Just breaks. Just breaks like a pack of cards. It just falls like that. So that's the fragile nature of the friendships that we have. Why? Because all of friendships comes with an agenda. What is in it for me? And hence I'm having a friendship with them. That is the problem of friendships that we see in and around us. We need to have friends in our life because it's a great companionship. But we see hardly people will go on in this friendship through their entire journey of their life, right? It keeps changing tracks. Okay. So the thought comes, okay, what does this means to friendship in eternality? We are eternal souls. Lord is eternal. So how can we have friendship with that Lord? So when you pose that question, it really bewilders us. Can I have friendship with my Lord Krishna? How is it possible? He's supreme. What am I? I'm nothing. How can I still have that friendship exchange with him? So that's why great personalities have come and enacted those roles to show us the path how any one of us can have friendship with the Lord. In fact, Bhagavatam says there are lots of examples of good friendship, and some great friendship stories have been demonstrated by people in the Vrajabhumi. So we have super examples. We also have friendship examples among the demigod families. We also have good friendship examples among devotees. And by seeing their life as a role model for us, we can develop that consciousness in us. So, we'll start with Rupa Goswami talking about Arjuna. Rupa Goswami says, Arjuna won the heart of Krishna and became one of the dearmost friend of Krishna. He cites lots of characteristics in doing that. An example was when Arjuna wanted to fight in the battlefield. He could not fight against his relatives. his grandfather, his guru, his cousins, right? So what did the real friend Krishna do to him? He awakened the spiritual consciousness in Arjuna to see through these things, and he was able to overcome it. Krishna had the choice not to deal with Arjuna in that plane. So a classical example of how deeper the relationship was, that Krishna was able to go and awaken that spiritual consciousness in him. So hence Rupa Goswami highlights this as an example. So I'd like to narrate a story here. So Narada Muni is bewildered about the relationship between Krishna and Arjuna. So he's asking, this is a Dwaraka pastime. He's coming and asking Rukmini Devi, I would like to take darshan of my Lord. Of course, he has come in the night. So Mother Rukmini is saying, oh, Krishna is already sleeping. The Narada is saying, oh, I would like to take darshan during that time. I've never seen him like this. Can you please permit him? So when he enters the room, he sees a beautiful scene there. What does he see? He sees Arjuna and Krishna sharing the same bed. The same bed they're sharing. And in fact, the next step is Arjuna's head is on the lap of Krishna. So Narada is bewildered. Hey, you're a supreme Lord. He's just a Jivatma. How can this possible? How can he sleep on your lap? I've always seen great devotees getting up early in the morning, chanting your names, glorifying you with mantras, offering you all sorts of oblations. How is this possible here? Of course, Krishna sees Narada Muni coming, and then he's telling Narada Muni, this is the glory of Arjuna. He says, come near and place your ears on the skin of Arjuna, like on his hands, on his legs. When he does that, what does he hear? There's a sound of Krishna. Krishna. So Krishna says, not just while he's awake, even while he's sleeping, the skin has pores, no? Through which the hair grows. Even those pores, the names of Krishna keeps coming out. Says, this is Arjuna. So that bewilders Narada Muni. So he did not understand the real glory of Arjuna, and through this pastime was able to understand how glorious Arjuna was. How much of love he had for Krishna that he never thought of anything else outside of Krishna, just the names of Krishna all the time. So in this purport, this is purport from Bhagavad Gita 11.41. Very brilliant explanation. 3 phases Arjuna goes through in his life. The first, as a phase where he is like a friend and a cousin to Krishna. He sees and plays around with him like that. So as a friend on the equal platform, almost similar in age, he would call Krishna in a very casual manner. Not like, hey, you're the Lord, nothing like that. Like a casual manner he's calling. So that's the intimacy he's having. At the start of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna does not want to fight the battle. He says, no, I want to leave. So Krishna says, you're illusioned. You're working on the mental platform. Hence the great sloka. Karpanya dosho pahata svabhava. So there, Arjuna takes the position to surrender himself to Krishna. Sishyasteham swadimam tom prapannam. That means I accept you as my guru. He's taking the position of a Sishya now. See, from the previous position of equality, he's taking the position of student. Okay, the Gita has been spoken to him. The 11th chapter, when Krishna is showing, what form is he showing? The Virata Rupa, the Vishwarupa form. So there, Arjuna feels really crippled. His heart is really pinching him. So why is it pinching him? So Prabhupada writes in his purport, very brilliant. I just want to read this. Prabhupada says, although Krishna is manifested before Arjuna in his universal form, Arjuna remembers his friendly relationship with Krishna and therefore asking pardon. and requesting him to excuse him for many informal gestures which rose out of the friendship between Arjuna and Krishna. He's admitting that formerly he did not know that Krishna could assume such an universal form. Of course, he's not aware of his potency. Although Krishna explained it as his intimate friend. Arjuna did not know how many times he may have dishonored him by addressing, "Oh Krishna, oh my friend, oh Yadava," very casually, right? Without acknowledging his opulence, but Krishna is so kind and merciful that in spite of such opulence, he played with Arjuna as a friend. Very important point to note. Such is the transcendental loving reciprocation between the devotee and the Lord. The relationship between the entity, the living entity, and Krishna is fixed eternally. It cannot be forgotten, as we can see from the behavior of Arjuna. Although Arjuna has seen the opulence of the universal form, he could not forget his friendly relationship with Krishna. Now comes the mature relationship between Arjuna and Krishna, which is, yes, he's going to continue the role of friendship with him, but he knows the potency of Krishna, but he's going to have that loving exchange with him. So you see, the friendship is taking the next dimension between Arjuna and Krishna. You can understand from this 11th chapter. So from all these 9 processes, you can see SAKHYAM as one of the processes that can really purify our heart in terms of our relationship with the Lord. So how can this happen? So what the Acharya is trying to say? Acharya is trying to say a devotee need not do any specific acts. Oh, I want to be friend of Krishna. I want to be friend of Krishna. Do something in that aspects of devotion. No, he did not do that. What he needs to do? He needs to do his regular devotional services and practices as guided and instructed by the Acharyas. Now, what does that do? It awakens the spiritual consciousness in us. When it awakens the spiritual consciousness, automatically the hidden relationship between us and the Supreme Lord manifests. It manifests through the points of or the forms of attraction to the Lord. You may get attracted to the form of the Lord, to the color of the Lord, his hands, his garland, his jewels, his peacock, his dangling earrings, his cheeks, anything we could get attracted, and that could increase our attraction to the Lord. And that's called one aspect of fraternity love. So this is what we realize as we progress in devotion service. So you can see in the material plane, you see friendship, even with devotion also, is only divided into 2 categories. The one category is servitude. Yes, I want to serve my Lord. Another category is I want to be a well-wisher of the Lord, like a caretaker. Right? But if you go into Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada explains, no, there are much, much deeper, more categories. And then those categories are really wonderful to understand. Beautifully explains the finer and finer differences between various moods of friendship. And that's what the people of Rajabhumi, the Rajavasis, they demonstrated or experienced with Krishna. So Prabhupada writes, in this regard to worship the Lord as a friendship, Agastya Samhita states that a devotee engaged in performing devotional service just by the process of Shravanam and Kirtanam. You see, if you really read through the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the last conversation between Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj, Sukadeva Goswami is explaining how Parikshit really perfected the art of Shravanam, rapt attention. He's not bothered about his bodily needs, about drinking water, eating food, taking rest, sleep, nothing. Such wonderful rapt attention he demonstrated in hearing to the glories and the pastimes of the Lord along with his associates. He did not differentiate them. Every aspect of the Lord attracted him so much That Sukadeva Goswami says, you're now liberated. You don't need to wait for Takshaka to come and kill you and then for you to go back home. No, you're liberated even before that. Just Shravanam, he did not do all 9 process of devotion service. He just did only one. He perfected it. So, Prabhupada writes here, he's saying that just by practice of Shravanam and Kirtanam, all other moods of servitude, all other moods will manifest in the heart, that too by the mercy of the Lord. And we can exchange that rasas with the Lord. So hence he says, how fortunate are these devotees? Devotees of Vrindavan. He says in this statement, friend is especially used to indicate intense love. Friendship, therefore, is better than servitude. So in the 5 primary rasas, the entry-level primary rasas is Shantaras. The next is Dasyaras. Then Sakyaras. So he says, Sakyaras is higher than Dasyaras. So that means in the mode of servitude. Today we'll conclude how is this going to be in a much more deeper manner. So hence he said, friendship therefore is better than servitude in the stage above Dasya Rasa. The devotee accepts Supreme Personal Godhead as a friend. This is not at all astonishing, for when a devotee is pure in his heart, the opulence of the worship of the deity diminishes as spontaneous love for personality of Godhead begins. This, in this regard, Sridhar Swami mentions, who expressed himself in the feeling of oblation, thinking, life after life, may I be connected to Krishna in this friendly attitude. Right? So this is what Prabhupada writes. So we can take another example to understand friendship in a different dimension between Krishna and his devotee. You all know the story of Sudama. We will look at the finer understandings, what we can learn from the friendship between Krishna and Sudama. So how did the journey between Krishna and Sudama begin? They were friends in their Gurukul. They learned together, they studied together. And of course, Sudama is also a Brahmana. In fact, Sudama is a Brahmana, but Krishna is a Kshatriya. Sorry, he is a Vaishya. Because he is enacting the role as a son of Nanda Maharaj. Nanda Maharaj is a Vaishya. Cows and farming and all those things. So there in Gurukul, they studied together. They studied together, and not just studied together, they were very intimate within themselves. So once what happens, their spiritual master tells Krishna and Sudama, go get some herbs or maybe some sticks or something from the forest. So when they leave in the evening, it is already a little bit, on the darker side, but still they leave. And it becomes more darker, and suddenly there's a lot of thunder showers and things like that. So, they could not return back the same day. So what they did, they found a nice tree and then they got onto the tree. Because there were heavy thunders, the friendship between Sudama and Krishna, they're holding each other's hand very tightly. And they held on to the hand until several hours, because they could not go back because of rains, and then it was dark and all sorts of difficulties. So seeing this scenario, the spiritual master, what does he do? He sends another set of friends in the Gurukul. Oh, these boys have not returned. Go check them. What happened to them? So until they come back, the aspect of helping each other, hugging each other was so close between Sudama and Krishna. They were not even letting their hands away. Of course, they came and then they saw and then they returned back to their Gurukul. So the spiritual master glorifies about their dedication in their service to the words of the spiritual master. Oh, you went beyond the risk of your life and still did that service. And he was very pleased with both of them. So that sort of an incident tells us what sort of closeness between Sudama and Krishna really happened. And that's it. In fact, if you see the life of Gurukul of Krishna, Krishna was like that for a very short period of time. He finished all 64 Vidya, 64 days, that's it. So then time passed. They never met each other. But the life of Sudama was very interesting. If you really read through his life, he's a Pakka Brahmana. He practiced all the Brahminical standards. He did not compromise. He did not compromise even at the cost of his material opulence and comforts. And even his earnings, if you look at it, it is not that, oh, I don't have much earnings. What do? Can I do some crime? Can I go out of my world? Can I become a Kshatriya? He did not do all those practices. He accepted whatever came in his way as a mercy and Mahaprasad of the Lord. That's how the consciousness of Sudama was. So, good Brahminical qualities is demonstrating. He's not demonstrating something superficial. He's not demonstrating that will gratify his senses. So he grew up like that. Of course, he got married. And his wife was also very cooperative with him for all this journey of life until he grew up. In fact, Bhagavatam describes they both were actually very skinny because they could not afford anything beyond what their needs were. And they did not venture out to do anything else in order to make them comfortable. They remained skinny, but even in that condition, Sudama never compromised on his devotional practice, nor going out of the Brahminical, boundary conditions, you can call it off. That's the life Sudama led. But it came to a point where his wife could not hold on to it. She said, Dwarakadisha, Krishna is your friend. He's such a close friend of yours. Go Brahmana Hitayecha. He's a lover of Brahmanas. He's a lover of cows. He's a king. Why can't you go and ask him? I'm sure he's going to help you out. What stops you? He doesn't want to go and ask Krishna because he valued friendship and he did not want to limit his friendship to the value of that material opulence that he wanted to as in return. He didn't want to limit that. So he said, no, I'm not going to do that. But of course, what to do? The pressure you have to budge to it. So he decided to leave. But still look at the principles. His wife was so educated, what she said, don't go empty-handed. I'll give you something. So she packed a small bunch, not even like 10, 20 kilos of beaten rice. No, a small packet. And they did not have any proper opulence like a bag or anything. She just took an old torn cloth, rolled it, and then gave it into hand. And he just put it above his shoulder and then he walked. He goes to the entrance and then he's asking to meet the king. Who's the king here? Krishna. So the guards are like, oh, you don't look like someone who's ready or deserve to meet the king. So they're not even ready to let him inside. But Krishna sees that. When did he meet last? When he was Chota, small boy, in the Gurukul. Now where? They're all grown up. Their forms, everything has changed. But Lord identified him at a distance and said, let him in. Krishna did not wanted Sudama to walk all the way to his chamber. No, he walked all the way to Sudama to receive him. In fact, very brilliantly it is explained, the bodily gestures demonstrated by Krishna to receive Sudama into the palace. It just pours love, pours out of the heart of Krishna. Every step that he keeps demonstrates pure love. When Sudama comes, he receives him with so much of honor and so much of closeness. And in fact, Krishna was in tears when he saw him. Seeing Krishna in tears, Sudama also is in tears. That's the real friendship that they had. He places him on an asana which Krishna sits. He washes his feet. And what does he do? He says, You are a Brahmana Varna. I am a Vaishya Varna. I am a lower Varna than you. So what am I supposed to do? He took that water and sprinkled on his head. That is the respect and the role that he gave to the Brahmanas. While Krishna and Sudama are talking, conversing each other, Rukmani was no less in the way she was demonstrating those qualities. What she did, she stood aside and she was fanning him, fanning Sudama. Looking at all these humble, loving exchanges that Krishna demonstrated, Sudama did not even have the guts, I wouldn't say the guts, did not have even the heart to spell out a word, please help me materially. Nothing. Krishna asked, hey, I know that you've come to see, we're seeing you after such a long time. I'm sure you must have brought something for me. He instigated him. He opened the bag of beaten rice and he took the first piece of it and put it into his mouth. Moment he put this into his mouth, Rukmani Devi, who is personification of goddess of fortune, she's so pleased. What happens? The opulence at his house starts to develop. It builds. In fact, Bhagavatam explains so wonderfully that not just his palace, the entire area became opulent. The parks in front of his house, the lakes near him, the birds, and then the visitors who are coming to the parks, even that is explained, saying that so beautifully it got developed. That's the beauty of the glory of goddess of fortune. Then he's about to take the second ship. We know that Rukmani said, no, then I have to go live in his house. So you better don't take the second. Now, this exchange of love is over. He doesn't even ask him that I want this help. This Brahmana is returning back. Then you know the story that he goes back and then he sees all these things and he's in tears. The biggest lesson learned out from Sudama and the relationship of friendship between Krishna and Sudama is, even though the opulent was offered to him, he did not dilute his Brahminical qualities and practices even after that. He ensured that he and his family, everyone practiced it. He led a life of renunciation, though he was possessing all those riches. That's the position of Sudama Brahmana. Bhagavatam says they went back home, back to Godhead, in full consciousness of Krishna. So you see, a relationship that was built at the childhood was a relationship continued to exist even after such a long time. And that's how the fraternal relationship with the Lord is. So these are all like positive stories. The positive stories are Krishna Arjuna, Krishna Sudama. So we'll also hear some stories that how we should not have such friendships. Right? So you all know the story of Dronacharya and Andrupada. Yeah? So what happened? We'll make it the story a little bit shorter. So both exactly were, it's the same story of Krishna and Sudama. Both they were Gurukul friends. One was rich and one was poor. Who was rich? Andrupada was rich. Dronacharya was son of Bharadwaja. He was a Brahmana, a poor Brahmana. No money. But he did not value his material position, but he valued his relationship with Andrupada. He was having such a close relationship. Of course, he used to help Andrupada in all the Gurukul assignments and things went on very well. So Andrupada, what happened? At the end of the Gurukul lifespan, Andrupada told and made a promise to Dronacharya. What did he say? Half my kingdom is yours, Dronacharya. Take it right away. You've done so much of support for me. This is what you deserve. But Dronacharya, out of his self-respect, he said, no, I don't want. But thanks for your offering. I will come back to you when I'm in need. Of course, the time, the Kala is so powerful that it makes the arrangement for things to happen. What is the arrangement? Time came when he got married. Who did Arjuna get married to? Kripacharya's sister, Kripi. So he got married to Kripi. And then they had the son Ashwatthama. But what is the irony? He was still struggling to meet his both ends because he was a Brahmana, straightforward Brahmana. He didn't want to do anything else. It pushed him to the corner. You know, there's a story, it says that Dronacharya could not even feed his son with proper food. Every other children used to play with Ashwatthama. They used to drink milk, nice fresh milk. But you know what he was drinking? He used to take beaten rice, pulverize it in the grinder or in a stone, and he'll mix it with water. It looked like milk and give that to Ashwatthama, saying that this is milk. That was the poverty level of Dronacharya. So he said, okay, I couldn't take this anymore because there is humility now for us to deal with the society. So what Dronacharya did? He went and asked Drupada, do you remember this promise? Can you fulfill your promise? Drupada said, I don't even know who you are. Because they were Gurukul friends. Now they've all grown up. Drupada has become a very powerful king now. He said, I don't even know who you are. So that really was a shame for Dronacharya. But Dronacharya says, hey, you know, you made a promise and things like that. What Drupada's answer was, I don't know whether I made this promise. Anyway, send him 2 cows to him. Looks like he's a poor Brahmana. They don't allow him inside the palace also. He packed him and sent him off. Of course, the story goes that Dronacharya goes, takes the revenge for Drupada, and Drupada does the yajna to produce Drishtadumna, who will kill Dronacharya in the war later on. So all these things you see, what was supposed to be such a great friendship, where did it end? Killing each other, fighting each other. No word, no keep of promise. That's it. So friendship dies. You can see, this is an example that we know from Mahabharata, but you will see there are enough examples in our day-to-day life about material friendship, how they fail, they let us down. You can see on the similar story of Karna and Duryodhana, you can see what happened at the end. It is all about position, power. He wanted Angada, he wanted this, he wanted that, so he wanted, that's it. And when Duryodhana was actually in trouble, when the Gandharvas attacked, what did he do? He ran away out of fear for his life. Friend indeed is a friend in need. What happened? So it did not happen. So from these examples, we can see good and bad examples of friendship outside of the jurisdiction of Vrindavan. So we can learn a lot of lessons out of this. So we'll hear some quotes from Srila Prabhupada, but what he's saying about friendship. I'll just read them through. He says, although there is, this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, text 24 and 20 and 45. He says, although there is friendship between Krishna and the cowherd boys, this friendship is different from Aishwarya friendship between Krishna and Arjuna. So he's talking about that friendship demonstrated between 2 personalities, Krishna and others, outside of Vrindavan, and he's differentiating between friendship that was demonstrated between Krishna and his Gopakumaras. Inside Vrindavan, there is a bhava as a difference. He's trying to explain. So we'll read this so we can go into fraternal relationships more deeper. When a devotee reaches the stage of pure unalloyed devotion, especially in friendship with Krishna, he forgets the Lord's opulence. Although he sees them, he considers them equal to Krishna. So this is called friendship without Aishwarya Bhava. That's what people saw in Vrajabhumi. So hence, there were friends who were equal to Krishna, and then they would fight with Krishna and say, hey, come on, let's have a wrestling match. And they would tease Krishna saying that you can't beat me. You're talking about killing Dhenukasura. You're talking about killing Bakasura. So that's how that friendship started to really manifest. So we'll go deep dive into that. So there's no question of actually comparing oneself with Krishna, but because devotee is so advanced in Krishna conscious, he is able to behave with Krishna as if he would behave with an ordinary person. So the Yoga Maya completely takes away that opulence from the eyes of this, so that pure heart-to-heart relationship between the Gopakumaras and Krishna can be demonstrated. And this is reality. Right? Lots of stories are there. We can even talk about the stories of Ram and Sugriv, what sort of friendship that they demonstrated. Right? So today, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, at least the movement of ISKCON is enriched with such beautiful philosophies. So many literature, so many writings, so many books that we can take and look at these finer details and make corrections in our life. That's success in our path to devotion. So now we will go to the last section of today's explanation, which is fraternity and fraternity in love with devotion. Outside of jurisdiction of Vrindavan, there is friendship and love demonstrated. We saw those examples. So examples of friendship in Dwaraka, examples of friendship in Mathura and Hastinapur higher than Dwaraka. Then you will see friendship within Vrindavan on a higher platform than Mathura. Then friendship within Vrindavan in Govardhan was much higher plane than friendship within other aspects of Vrindavan. So you can see deeper and deeper relationship being exchanged. So we'll see some of them. I will read the definition given by Prabhupada here. He says, when a devotee is permanently situated in devotional service, he says permanently, the word permanently comes with two aspects. One is steady state devotion. That means devotion does not get disturbed under material circumstances. That's called situated in steady state devotion service. And by different symptoms of ecstasy, he has developed and matured a fraternal mellow or flavor and relationship with personality of Godhead. So that means what? We continue to do our services as instructed by our Guru. We will get attracted by the mercy of the Lord, certain aspects and features and behaviors of the Lord, and that will be the first stepping stone for building a relationship with Krishna. And all these things, how does it happen? Does it happen by our special effort? Oh, I want to become friend of Krishna, friend of Krishna. No, it happens automatically without our knowledge. Right? So that's what first Prabhupada is clarifying. Okay. Now we've heard how beautiful Krishna is. His Pitambar, his Vaijanti Mala, his Shamantaka jewel, his curly hair, his dangling earrings, his cheeks, his arms, everything, every anga of the Lord you can see is very beautiful. So Prabhupada writes, Lord exhibits Madhurya Rupa. That means a beautiful form of the Lord to attract. In fraternity, what happens? The Lord makes sure the attraction is so much that devotees, the bhaktas, they fall in love for the Lord through these opulences also. Not just the literary writings, not just the pastimes and attractions of the Lord, but even these opulences of the Lord. It says, just by reading a book which explains the beauty of the Lord, one falls in love with the Lord. That's how these expressions are. That's how the reality of the Lord's beauty is. This is called Madhurya Rupa. That means attraction through form, paraphernalia, and all these aspects. Sometimes, even Pandavas demonstrated very wonderful fraternal relationships. The start of the Mahabharata war, both the assemblies, like Kauravas and Pandavas, are assembled on both sides of the battlefield. The Kauravas are much larger in size compared to the Pandavas. So now Pandavas had two problems. First problem, the size, the mere size of the Kauravas was so powerful. And second problem they had was, everyone on the opponents were their relatives. And not just the people like cousins and others, even the kingsmen, because these kingsmen were none other than the kingsmen of them when they were in Hastinapur. So they have exchanged that kind of closeness with them also. So that difficulty also with them. So both these factors let their hearts fully down, demoralized. How to fight this war? Not possible. What does Krishna do? Just takes his Panchajanya, blows his conch. That blow of the conch and his four-handed form, Shankha Chakra Gada Padma, immediately invigorates that shelter of a friend in the heart of those Pandavas, and they all become like lions and say, okay, we're ready to fight the war. Right? So Rupa Goswami writes in Nectar of Devotion, wonderfully, how fraternity happens by just the act of the Lord in a very simple manner. So brilliant it is. So Rupa Goswami explains that a friend in generally it's called VSS. VSS means in Sanskrit a common terminology for what a friend is called. And there are different categories of this VSS who exchange their love with the Lord. Okay, so you can see that there were VSS even outside of Vrindavan. Examples like Krishna demonstrated great pastimes with Bhima, with Arjuna, even with Draupadi, for that matter, with Sudama that we talked about. So it's still, even outside of Vrindavan also, such wonderful exchange of love happened. Another example I'll give you to make this understand. When Pandavas were given Indraprastha to go and live there and rule, Krishna entered Indraprastha for the first time. So all those Pandavas, they came out and then they wanted to receive Krishna. You see, now I'll show you three different moods exhibited by the Pandavas. The first, Yudhishthira, who's actually elder, he's the king. When he comes to receive Krishna outside, you know what does he do? He comes, he receives Krishna and smells his head. I mean, if it's a general practice that the kings will smell the head of the this one as a mark of exchange of certain practices. And after that, he hugs him. What does Arjuna and Bhima do? They would go and hug Krishna to receive him. While Nakula and Sagadeva, they would fall at the feet of Krishna to seek his blessing. Now you see, there is one person demonstrating friendship as a well-wisher. There's one set of personality demonstrating friendship on the platform of equality. Another set of personalities demonstrating friendship in the mood of servitude. You can see the Pandavas are just a combination of all these moods, and they're able to demonstrate this fraternity. Right? Rupa Goswami explains this very, very brilliantly. I mean, what an empowerment Rupa Goswami has got that he's able to explain these concepts. Sukadeva Goswami says, the beauty of fraternity in Vrindavan is, just imagine these cowherd boys play as though they were on the equal level with Krishna. By this, anyone can understand that these boys must have accumulated heaps of results. He says heaps of results are like, these results are like mountains, like as tall as Himalayas. So much of pious credit that they have accumulated that they're able to perform this pastime with Krishna. So how? Rupa Goswami explains. When Krishna lifted the Govardhan hill, the mood of all the friendships were, hey, I'm equal to you, Krishna. We are on the same plane. So then telling Krishna, you're holding Govardhan hill on your left hand. You've been holding it for such a long time. Why don't you shift it to your right hand for some period of time so that we can give you massage to your left hand? Right? So they're telling that to Krishna. While there's another friend, Subala, he says, oh, Krishna, don't worry. You've been holding for such a long time. Just leave it to me. I'll hold it for some time. I'll put my stick and I'll hold it for you. Right? So you see, they did not even get any other thoughts of consciousness about position and strength and opulence of Krishna, but they were looking out on the plane of equality, at par with them. Right? So this is what Sukadeva Goswami is explaining Parikshit, how the real friendship between the Gopakumaras and Krishna started to exchange in Vrindavan. What does the Lord do? Does the Lord also reciprocate in the same manner? Yes, the Lord also reciprocates. In fact, after the pastime of Agasura, you know Agasura, right? Agasura is the huge snake demon. Balaram is asking Krishna, what happened? What happened to this Agasura? How did you kill him? So Krishna is telling, he's expressing his heart to Balaram. He's telling, when I saw this huge cave, I know it was Agasura, and I knew that all my friends had gone inside the mouth of Agasura. And I know they're struggling because it's all poison there. I couldn't control it, Balram. I was in tears in love of my friends. You see, the Lord also expresses want of such friendship with his devotees, with his companions. So Acharya writes both these things very brilliantly. It is not just one-way relationship, it is two-way relationships. It's mutual. So we talked about friendship in the form of mutual trust and all these things. So these are the great examples that we can think of. So Bhagavatam explains that fraternity within the jurisdiction of Vrindavan is of 4 types in nature. The first type of fraternity is called well-wishers. The first type of relationship that Krishna demonstrates with his friends is called, first level is called well-wisher. The second is called just a friend. Yes, he is a friend. The third is called someone who is very close friend. And the fourth one, he calls it as intimate friends. In Sanskrit, he uses these words. He doesn't say anything for well-wisher, but he says friend as a sakha, a close friend as a priya sakha, someone very dear, close to me, and then someone very intimate to me, who works on the platform of conjugality with me, is called priyanara. So like that, Bhagavatam explains these 4 kinds of friendships. Very brilliant. So let's see what a well-wisher is. A well-wisher friends are friends, generally they are higher in age than Krishna, right? So in Vrajavasis, you see the lot of friends who are higher in age than Krishna. Their mood is generally parental mixed mood. What does a parent do to us? You know, parents' mood is not just about friendship, but they also have the feeling of shelter. Hey, take care of him. It's not about just, exchange something, just take care of him. That means there's a parental shelter-giving mood mixed with friendship. So that's called the mood of well-wishers, right? So an example Rupa Goswami quotes are friendships where when Krishna was holding Govardhan Hill, some of these Rajavasis, what they would do, they would come outside of the Govardhan Hill to see, hey, how tall is this mountain? Is it very heavy or not? Is Krishna safe enough? At the time, we know what Yogamaya does. Yogamaya immediately lowers the clouds and half closes the entire Govardhan Hill. They'll say, okay, it's not such a big mountain, so it's okay. Yeah, I think, Krishna, you're fine. You're taken care. That's how the well-wishers think and they behave. The other example is, when Krishna goes for grazing, it's very hot sun now. Now you need to take rest. You need to come under the shelter of these trees. And after Krishna comes there, they would nicely massage his head so that he feels cozy. So this is how the well-wisher friend thinks. And Krishna had lots of well-wisher friends in the Vrajabhumi. Right? So examples of well-wisher friends as given by Rupa Goswami are Subhadra. Subhadra is not the sister Subhadra. There's another Gopakumara by name Subhadra. Then there is Balabhadra, there is Vijaya, then there is Mandali Bhadra. So these are all Krishna's friends, but they were older than him. Okay, so these are well-wishers in the form of parental mode. So that's the first kind of fraternity relationship that Krishna had in Vrindavan. The second type, what's the second type? A friend. What's he called? Sakha. Yeah. So Sakha is the second type of Krishna. Generally, Sakhas are younger to Krishna and they have this mood of servitude. I always want to serve my Lord. So that's the mood that they always have. So these Sakhas, what they would do, let's say morning 6 o'clock, Krishna has to leave home for grazing into the forest. So these Sakhas, what they would do? They would come and wait at the entrance of Krishna's house at 5:45. To receive the Lord and to go. So Mother Yashoda would see and saying that, hey, you, why are you standing near the door? Come in. Don't wait there. Until Mother Yashoda called, they won't enter because the mood is servitude. Master, servant, master, servant. And when they go in, Yashoda is nicely dressing Krishna. He's putting his dhoti, then putting his peacock feather. Then what he would do, this Sakha friend, hey, mother, please give me, I'll tie his anklet. He'll tie his anklet. He'll take his flute and insert into Krishna's hip. So he would do all these services to Krishna. He'll go get this Krishna's footwear and then make Krishna to wear all these things. And while he's serving the Lord out of that, the special love, he would take him in. He used to carry a stick in his hip, which he uses to herd the cows. He would take that and then hit on the Sakha and say, hey, you nice boy. So just like how we pet our, so he used to say that, and Mother Yashoda was chastise him. So this is the kind of exchange relationship Krishna had with the second type of friendship called Sakhas. And what is their mood? Servitude. And what is their age? Generally younger than Krishna, right? So we will call these people, trying to get these names. So some of the famous names of Sakhas are Vishala, Ojasvi, Devaprastha. So these are the kind of personalities who really perform these roles so wonderfully. And what they would do, even in going to Vrindavan, after doing cow grazing, they would comb the hair of Krishna. Why? Because while he was grazing and running behind the cows, all his hair flew and then they started to land. So what they would do, they will hold Krishna and then comb it nicely and say, okay, Krishna, now you look beautiful, right? So they would do services like that. They would do massaging his legs, all in the mode of service, serve the Lord, serve the Lord. But they demonstrated having Sakha, friendship with the Lord, right? So this is the second mode of friendship demonstrated between Gopakumaras and Krishna. Okay. Third, what's the third one? Priya Sakha. Priya Sakhas are Sakhas who are of same age as Krishna. Because of their same age, they always think they're also equal and opulent with Krishna. So they would meet with Krishna on the same planes, right? These Priya Sakhas are a little bit more confidential than Sakhas, where Krishna can reveal the heart with them, right? So an example of such personalities are Sridham and Sudama, right? These are called Priya Sakhas. An example of Priya Sakhas are, they would generally, when they meet and greet Krishna, they would go hug him, and then they would receive him like that, because I am equal to you, Krishna, right? So a brilliant example I can give you is the Kaliya demon pastime. So when the Kaliya demon pastime happened, the poison from the river was coming very furiously onto the surface, and some of these friends, they fell unconscious, right? Some of them were half awake, but Krishna dived into the Yamuna water, and then he was trying to, perform the pastime with Kaliya. But for some time, Krishna was not visible to anyone's eyes. At that time, all these friends felt really empty in their heart. They were like, I'm lost in this life. That's it. Where is Krishna? But when Krishna came, they chastised him. How can you disappear just like that? And after chastising, what they did? They hugged Krishna. Right? So this is the general mood in which they would do. Another example of equality is Madhumangal. Right? So a Brahmana boy. So generally, what's the thoughts of Madhumangal, a Brahmana boy? Hey, I am in a higher Varna than you. You're a Vaishya Varna. So Krishna, you need to take blessings from me all the time. Why? If a Brahmana blesses, that will become true for you. Krishna would say, okay, yes, Brahmana, tell me, what do you want? I shall give you. He says, you have to give me more and more laddus. You have to keep feeding me. The more the laddus you feed me, the more my hand will go up to give you blessings. So that's how Madhumangal acted on plane of equality with Krishna, called Priya Sakhas. Right? So this is another example to understand how Krishna dealt with those Gopakumaras while his pastimes in Vrindavan. Okay, so which is the last one? Priya Nara. Okay, so this is a kind of friendship. The only difference between Priya Sakha and Priya Nara is the level of intimacy is much, much stronger and deeper. It is not that everyone is possible to do, but some of them will be able to possible to do. Okay. So examples of these names are Shubala and Ujjwala. So if you see the butter thief pastimes, a lot of it Shubala performed with Krishna. Okay. Now, an example to understand intimacy. So what they would do in intimacy? When the gopis wanted to share their love for Krishna, they have a message, they have a letter for Krishna. What these boys would do, they would understand it. They would take the letter. Depending on the mood and the right situation, they would slowly speak into the ears of Krishna. And thereby, they built that intimacy between the Sakhis and Krishna into a deeper and deeper level. So that's what they would do. So for example, there were gopis like Taraka, Palika. So they would do services. Some would prepare a nice tambula that you eat after dinner, after lunch. Someone, would prepare a garland. So all these things, what they would do, they would send it through these Gopakumaras and then to reach Krishna. So they enacted pastimes where the conjugal aspects between Sakhis and Krishna can manifest to stronger and deeper manner. And that's what intimate Sakhas they did during their, tenure with Krishna in Vrajabhumi. So you see the depth at which friendships can go. Mind-boggling. It's beyond imagination. And Prabhupada has been so merciful that he's giving all these things in a platter for us to just read, understand, and internalize and make that as our life. Shubala, he tells Krishna, this particular Sakhi, because of some pastime that the Sakhis are now angry, I don't want to meet you. I don't want to talk to you. So he explains, and our Acharya writes that explanation in a very brilliant way. He says, the natural course of a river, let's say there are 5, 6 rivers, the natural course of the river is to take a path, the shortest path, to reach the ocean. So now all the Sakhis are the rivers. And the ocean is the Supreme Lord, Vrajendra Nandana, Hari Krishna. So now one Sakhi says, I don't want to deal with you. You're a coward. You're this, you're that. They use all these words. So the Acharya writes, now this course of river which is traveling towards the ocean, now is finding it difficult to travel. Why? It doesn't want the ocean. So it changes its course. It takes a longer path. So Shubala is telling the ears of Krishna, don't worry. They don't have any other choice. They will come back to you. Please wait. So the Acharya says, the river which took a deviation, took a different course, again comes back to its course in a roundabout manner and reaches the ocean. So he says, Paramam Gatim. And that is the only destination for all the devotees having such fraternal relationship with the Lord. Right? So this is how the beautiful expressions about friendship with Krishna is given. Just to summarize, it is learned that out of the 5 rasas, the conjugal Madhurya rasa is the topmost. Fraternity, love as a sakha, as a friendship, is not topmost. But, however, said that done, the gopis are very envious of these Gopakumaras. Hence, Radharani keeps commenting to her Sakhis, look at this, look at that, look at what? When everyone is around, Shubala can put his hands on Krishna and walk around. Balaram can hug Krishna at any point in time and he can exchange that rasa. So that means love and fraternity was possible at all points in time without any boundary conditions. But even though Madhurya is supposed to be the topmost, had its limitation as to how it can be exchanged. And that's how Radharani says, I'm really envious of the Gopakumaras, right? So she ends the glories of fraternal love with Krishna. So I will take my permission here. Thank you so much for patiently listening to all these friendship stories and friendship exploration between Krishna and his loving devotees. Please forgive me if in case I have misrepresented anything or misspelled anything. But personally, I relished this part of rasa as I was preparing. It was really, really wonderful. And it's a very rare opportunity for us to read and hear such wonderful exchange of pastimes. Thank you so much. Grandraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande.
Hare Krishna. Let's express our gratitude to His Sundar Shyam Prabhu for narrating with so many wonderful pastimes as well as so many details from the Acharya's commentaries and all. Let us express our gratitude by chanting Hare Krishna mantra once. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Also today's Feast Prasadam is sponsored by 2 devotees. His Grace Prasannatma Ram Prabhu, in remembrance and requesting devotees' prayers for his departed father, Priyan Tukaram Prabhu, and also Shrikant Prabhu, who has got job in Bangalore, so he wanted to offer request prayers of the devotees. So let us pray to their Lordship, Shri Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra, Shri Shri Lakshmi Narasimhadev. Also, Usha Mataji also has requesting the devotees' prayers for her father, K.S. Murthy Prabhu. So let us pray to their lordships to shower their choicest blessings on all these devotees and their whole family. Let us chant Hare Krishna mantra once. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Also, please note the coming Sunday is very special because that is Ramanavami Mahamahotsav. So on the occasion of Ramanavami, more details will follow. This week you will be getting the message. We'll be having in the temple, there will be no Sunday feast program next Sunday. Please note, there will be no Sunday feast program in the temple. Whereas there will be a Rath Yatra, which will be happening from the Carmel ground, which will be happening from the Carmel ground till Jayanagar, this one, maybe around 2.5-3 kilometers. So the further details will be sent through the temple WhatsApp group. So kindly note that there will be no separate Sunday feast program, but all the devotees are requested to kindly come and take part in the Rath Yatra. And also we have started from like now the morning changes in the timings. I'm just repeating it again. The Sunday feast program, it will start, the Bhagavatam will start at 8:30, just after the Guru Puja. And then the prasadam we are trying to serve at 10 o'clock, sharp 10 o'clock. So that devotees doesn't have to wait for a long time. And also we request devotees to collect the coupons. And like now also again, we request devotees, after honoring the delicious prasadam, just like Prabhupada, when Prabhupada was there in the 26th Second Avenue when he started, initially right from the beginning of getting the ingredients, then cooking, and then the vessel washing, wind up, everything Prabhupada alone was doing. But one day when some devotees, they thought that who is doing it, and then they asked, Swamiji, do you need any help? Prabhupada said, I was looking for this day. So the same way kitchen team devotees are saying that we are looking for that day when more and more devotees are coming to assist. Even if your 5, 10, 15 minutes of your assistance will be of a great this one. That way it will be our some short service, Alilu Sevaya we call, squirrel service to the after honoring the prasadam. So we request devotees after prasadam whoever have time, whatever time, can come to kitchen and assist. So thank you very much. We'll have the Jagannath Ashtakam. Meanwhile, the prasadam will be served outside. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Also, there are 2 more devotees. They have requesting prayers and they have sponsored today's prasadam. Mayur Prabhu and Priyanka Mataji. So we request the devotees to kindly offer prayers to their lordships to shower their choicest blessings by chanting Hare Krishna mantra once. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, we'll just end the session now. We'll just continue with Nityam Bhagavad Gita tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock.